Hello, and this is the review for our midterm, just to go over some of the important concepts and specifics about the midterm. So it's going to be covering chapters 1 to 5. So in order to prepare, I recommend that you go back and review the lectures that I recorded for you over each chapter. Also make sure to review each chapter in the textbook. And also be sure that you pay attention to the case studies and to some of the tables, not just the reading part, but you need to be sure to review all of it. It's all important. And then also review the supplemental readings. We had one on attribution, the teacher attribution, so be sure that you review that. In addition to the lectures that your classmates recorded over self-regulation, grit, ecological systems theory, self-determination theory, attribution theory, achievement goal theory, and expectancy value theory. So the test will open Monday morning at 8 a.m. on March 2nd, and then it will close on March 8th at 11:59. So you have the entire week to take it. You'll have 90 minutes. It is a timed test, and once you begin, you won't be able to go back. It is all multiple choice, and so you have 40 total questions worth 2.5 points each for 100 points total. So the concepts are more application. It's not just definitions. So you need to review both the definitions and how to apply them. And the book does have a lot of examples on what this looks like. So it's going to be similar to the PPR, which is the test that you take if you're going to become a teacher. That's the Pedagogy and Professional Responsibilities exam, but it's much more applicational. And I'll be giving you some examples here in just a moment. So one thing that I've done in the past is for students who have done really well on the exam, I sent them an email to ask about what they did that was successful. So these are just some suggestions from previous students who have done well on the exam in previous semesters. So they said, take some examples from the book, from the material, try to draw examples to yourself from your own experiences. Consider questions about information that's confusing, conflicting. Feel free to ask those questions. I provided a lot of examples to you in the lectures, and then also be sure to read the examples in the book because she does give a lot of those. And review the chapters, the PowerPoint lecture presentations, go over all of the information multiple times, not just once. And study with others, review with friends, and then make sure, of course, you have gotten a lot of rest so that you can really think. And for you can take the test whenever you want. So if you're think better in the morning, then take it in the morning, or evening, take it in the evening. But don't wait until the last moment. So I've got 4 sample questions for you. I'm going to be showing you the answers, so you can go ahead and pause it and read through this and think about what you think it may be. Okay, so the answer for this is A. So be sure that you review the different types of research studies. A descriptive study, as you remember, just describes the situation. So it only discusses one or more variables. It does not make an attempt to relate the variables to one another, unlike a correlation that talks about how, one may change, then the other changes. So a descriptive study only doesn't draw any conclusions. It just describes the situation. So question 2, you can pause it. So the answer is D. One thing that we talked about in chapter 5 is anxiety, and the book and my lectures, I described that a moderate level of anxiety is what is most important to success. There's the example of the bell curve. So someone who has no anxiety or someone who has a lot of anxiety is actually going to have lower performance because they're on either end of that bell curve. So what you want is to have kind of a moderate level of anxiety. So you can pause this to read question 3. So for self-regulation, this question asks which one is not necessarily an aspect. So be sure that you read the questions carefully if you got this incorrect. But self-regulation is about monitoring your progress. In the book and in the lecture from your classmates, talks about this central executive that kind of oversees your brain, and it's paying attention, rewarding yourself for doing well, making sure to adjust if it's behavior that's kind of gotten out of hand, doing things to make a task more enjoyable. But just reading a textbook chapter isn't necessarily self-regulating behavior. That's just doing what you're supposed to do. So self-regulation incorporates these other types of things. And then for question 4, you can pause it. And so the answer is C. So one thing that you want to be sure to do on these types of questions for punishment and reinforcement is the first thing to do is to look at the behavior and decide whether the behavior is increasing or decreasing. So if the behavior is increasing, it's going to be reinforcement. If the behavior is decreasing, it's going to be punishment. So in this situation, the behavior of the student is increasing. So you know it's not going to be D. And then the second thing you want to see is whether something's being added, which would make it positive, or something being removed, which would make it negative. And so in this case, something's being added, okay, which is her glaring at him. That's something that wasn't previously present. So that means that it's positive reinforcement. So one thing that students have difficulty with is thinking that positive reinforcement is something that you like, but what you have to think about is the student. So it's something the student would like or something the student would not like. And so in this case, it's going to be positive reinforcement because this is something he wants. He wants that negative attention, and so he's going to keep doing it. Now, for some students, if you added a glare, it might be positive punishment or presentation punishment, as the book says. Because something's being added that would cause the behavior to stop. But in this case, that's not how it is. He wants that, so that's why he continues. And vicarious reinforcement means learning from others, and that's not something described in this situation. So to help you further this week, one thing that you can do to get 5 points extra credit, which is like 2 points on the exam, is to choose a topic from the study guide. So I have the study guide that's posted in there. So just pick one topic, make a video and post it in Flipgrid to kind of explain the topic, maybe just describe it in detail, and you'll have 2 minutes to do that. And then post at least one reply to another classmate. You can just kind of comment on it, add something else, ask a question about the topic that your classmates have posted. So if you do this by this Sunday, you'll get an extra 5 points on the exam. And you can use this QR code to access it, or you can go back to the week 1 Flipgrid folder and access it through our Flipgrid class site. So I hope this helps and hope that everyone does well on the exam.